Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Future Net Zero Insight with me, Kieran Bowes. And I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined by Ann Sofie from the ReSea Project. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks for asking. And you're joining us all the way from Copenhagen in Denmark. Can you just start off by explaining what it is that you guys do at the ReSea Project?
Well, thank you. And yeah, it's true. I'm joining here from Copenhagen, Denmark, and of course we have our main office here. But actually, everything that's really exciting about the work that we do is taking place in Indonesia, in Jakarta. And what we do in ReSea Project is that we are doing ocean and river cleanups on behalf of companies around the world. So we have companies that are interested in making a documented impact for our environment. So what we do is that we collect plastic in oceans and rivers in and around Jakarta in Indonesia. And it's a community-driven endeavor, so to speak, meaning that what we do is that we ask people from the local communities that are close to these water-based areas to do the plastic collection for us. And then, of course, we ensure that they get fair compensation for their work. And I would say, like the primary thing about the work that we do is that we document our plastic collection quite rigorously. We make sure that our collectors are all using a smartphone with a tracking system. That means that they can track every step of the collection process, from where they have collected it, how they have managed it, stored it, all these things until we come and pick it up. And then what we do is that we sort the plastic and then we distribute it for recycling and waste handling. So make sure that it's taken care of in the right way.
I think it's really interesting to talk about plastic pollution is obviously a hot topic. Everyone wants to talk about it because, especially when we're talking about the oceans or rivers or kind of marine wildlife, it's very kind of badly affected by what's going on in terms of the plastic deposited. So I think it's a really interesting point of view that you've taken to incentivize businesses to, want to show that they're selling their product with a real good sort of impact on the environmental side. I kind of wanted to ask how have businesses reacted to what you guys do, and has it had a really sort of positive impact on their outlook in terms of now when we sell a product, we're not just selling a product, we're also allowing customers to feel like they've made a change.
For sure. Well, first of all, like the feedback is really positive, both from the companies, but which is more important from their customers as well, which are like you and me. It's consumers out there picking between different products on a shelf, and I think what's important to the companies, because it's important to the rest of us, is that today you really need to be able to document how you're doing an impact. It's no longer enough to simply state that you are sustainable or you're doing good, just as we have had with the whole social compliance and all these things in terms of how things are produced. It's the same that has been happening over the last couple of years with sustainability, that people are really demanding today that, okay, you say you're doing this, but please show us how you're doing that exactly. And that's what we are making possible for the companies, also because we decided from the early days of the company that we wanted to get a certification, so that we had the third party sort of blue stamp that when we say we are
Sure.
collecting this amount of plastic, we are actually doing it, and this is how we're doing it.
And you said that once the plastic's been collected, it's recycled. Can you explain to us kind of the process of that and how you kind of ensure that everything's looked after once it's been taken out of the ocean?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, we are a collecting company, not so much a recycling company, but we understand, of course, that it doesn't end with collecting the plastic. You need to have a system that makes sure that as much of it that can be reused will be reused. So what we do is we in Indonesia, of course, we have our collectors, and they use this tracking system, which is blockchain based, which also ensures, of
Wow.
course, that you really cannot manipulate with the data, because every time you change something in the system, a new a block in the chain will show. So it's very
Sure.
easy, both from the third party that's auditing us, but also just stakeholders in general to keep us accountable. So what we do is that we have made this tracking system all through the chain, for our part. And then what we do is that in Indonesia we are finding processors and partners who are interested in taking on the other half part of the process, which is the recycling, which is a whole process on its own. I'm not a recycling expert per se, but of course have some insight because we need to choose the right partners for ourselves. And what they do with the plastic is, of course, after it's been sorted, what we do, it will be rinsed, it will be shredded, pelletized, and then you can sort of make it into new products that can be used for different things.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic as well, taking it out and really making a difference with it, because obviously the main problem we have with plastic is it takes years to decompose. So
Yeah.
that's the main issue, and that's why it's great what you're doing. Obviously, it's a global issue, plastic pollution. So can I just ask why you chose Jakarta? Was there a particular reason, just out of interest?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. Well, we were looking in the East Asian region because we know that it's a region that has massive problems with plastic pollution, not just their own, but also plastic that has come through illegal dumpings of plastic all over the world, and it kind of all accumulates with the water streams around this area. And in Indonesia, it's one of the most plastic polluted countries in the world, mainly due to the fact both their placement in the world's oceans, but also because they have so many rivers. And what happens in areas where there is like poor areas where there is absolutely no waste handling or waste management is that a lot of plastic from people's household or factories or whatever will end up in the rivers because it's a little
Yeah.
bit like out of sight, out of mind. You need to get rid of your waste, and if nobody's going to come and pick it up, like we have the privilege here in our parts of the world, if I put out my garbage, somebody will come and take care of the problem for me every Tuesday or Thursday or whenever it is. These people unfortunately don't have that privilege, and they need to get rid of the waste in the same way that we do. So a lot of it ends up in the rivers, and then the rivers will transport it from the mainland, from the inland, and out into the oceans like that. So it was a country where we could see a big potential for us to actually do some really additional impact and working alongside, of course, with those like government waste handling services that, of course, are there. But then on the other scale, it's also, since Indonesia has such a massive problem with plastic pollution, they're also actually quite advanced and quite ahead in terms of actually recycling it and have a lot of plastic processes in the country. So that was also a reason for us to go and kind of set up camp there. But for us, it's just the beginning. It's the first country we are operating in, but our vision is definitely to expand to other countries as well.
Yeah, so I mean, that was one of the points I would like to touch on, actually. Obviously, it's a great idea and it's a great concept. How are you looking to kind of grow it, and what's the aim in the long term, obviously?
Well, the aim is to part of why we are kind of born digitally, meaning that we kind of had two visions from the beginning. First, we wanted to make sure that it was community driven, meaning that we are not just coming into the country and then we will solve the problem. We wanted to make sure that we were engaging the local community, making sure that they got an economical benefit out of it, but also that they became part of solving the problem. And so that was one of the things. And the other things were that we wanted to be digital, because we knew that if we are going to do something that's community based and still keep the control, which is required, first and foremost, of course, from our stakeholders, but also to be able to obtain and uphold this certification that we have, this blue stamp, that what we're doing is right. So if you want a lot of people working quite individually and you still want to keep control, you need something that's very scalable, and then you need to go digital.
Yeah.
You need to do something that is available to everybody. You need to be able to do it from your phone. So it was from the beginning our aim that it should not only work in a small area. So I think the first, now we just gone out of the pandemic, and of course that put a little bit of a hold to our expansion plans because you couldn't really move or travel
Yeah.
anywhere. but we hope to be able to do so. I think first and foremost in the same region, but we don't really have a limit to any other countries. But of course, it needs to be countries where we feel like we can actually, as a commercial entity, do an additional service, and not, of course, go in
Sure.
and take over anything that's government or publicly run in a good way, which it is here in Europe, for example.
Of course, yeah. I definitely think the use of blockchain technology is really interesting as well because it obviously provides an infinite chance of with the platform really because obviously anyone can access it if they have the technology and that means that it's
Yeah.
transferable. Um, I saw on your website that for every was it €8 that is invested, 1 kilogram of plastic is removed. And I kind of just wanted to ask, for people that we see on our TVs and maybe in Europe especially, we watch our documentaries and it's very sad. You see all the, the marine
Mm.
wildlife being stuck in plastic and it's ruining habitats. And how, for people that, can't really conceptualize the issue at hand, how much of a difference can even, 1 kilogram make in the long run?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tricky question because, of course, the problem is so massive, and sometimes 1 kilogram can seem like it doesn't make any difference at all out of
Yeah,
the millions and millions of kilos of plastic that are entering into our oceans in any given day. But I think what's most important today is that this is not a new issue. Of course, this is something we've been talking about for decades now.
yeah,
We kind of pride ourselves, and when we see our colleagues, both nonprofits and profit-driven companies alike, to see today that we are becoming part of a movement of both commercially, both governmental run and nonprofits, all kind of working together with the same goal. And I mean, we will not be able to solve the plastic crisis on our own. Nobody are. But if
yeah,
we all
of
kind of
course.
work together, and if we're working with different things now here in Europe, we are getting a lot more stricter sort of regulatories in terms of the use of single-use plastic, and that's kind of attacking the issue from the other angle. So
Yeah.
it really is a big part of a puzzle. But we need to remember that we have so much waste lying out in the oceans and really polluting all of the marine. So we also need to start in that area as well and really clean up. And we're cleaning up years of pollution already.
Well, it's definitely, it's a fantastic thing that you guys are doing. And thanks so much for coming on and talking about this today. I hope that everyone enjoyed the dialogue and what you were talking about there in terms of being able to grow this and using technology to really sort of foster moving away from waste in oceans. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, and you too.